Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today with the Gloucester Times reporters, Ethan Foreman and Stephen Hagan. Hi, you guys. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Very good, Heather. How are you?
I feel like the band is back. We have Stephen back here, so we're all we're all together again. But Ethan, you're going to go first, and you are going to talk about the Gloucester school budget.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I actually ducked into a city council budget and finance committee meeting. It was one of the first in-person meetings I'd ever attended. I actually went to the harbor master's office, didn't watch it on Zoom, and showed up and I'm like, "Hi, everybody. It's the old days." Anyway, so it was the school department's budget, and I think we've written a lot about it, but about the challenges that they have. They want to improve the O'Malley School. They're seeing staffing challenges, as every school is facing. A lot of high needs students with special education or English language learners. Big percentage of the school's population is high needs. A big increase in that. That's actually a good thing because state funding formulas for Chapter 78 under the Student Opportunity Act favor putting more money into districts with a lot of high needs kids. And Gloucester has a lot of them. So that's the good news on the revenue side for the schools. However, the mayor's passed a budget that has proposed a budget of $650,000 less than what the schools are asking. And the interesting thing about this is Mayor Greg Berger's school proposed budget, is the largest increase ever, he says, in Gloucester schools, about 5.85%. And the schools are looking for 7.25%. So there's that little 1% there, So it was a very interesting conversation. It was very wide ranging. Counselors spoke on various things. So they did touch on that budget gap, no specifics. And I think the Superintendent Ben Lummis had said that was really where, he really doesn't want to sit there and say what would be cut because, it's all, he said it was all in light pencil. But the good news is that it seems like they're going to come to some resolution. They're going to narrow or bridge the gap. And the Gloucester's Chief Administrative Officer, Jill Cahill, said that they're looking for perhaps things in the school budget that might be one-time expenditures that they could find money for that elsewhere. For instance, the schools are looking to replace the grease traps in the middle school and the high school, and they're looking for the city's capital reserve account. So who knows? So I guess stay tuned. That's cliche, but the public hearing on the city council's budget, the city budget, is going to coming up on Tuesday, June 6th. Week later, they'll be taking the vote. So it's a very compressed timeline for the budget this year. School budget came in kind of late because they were waiting to finalize local aid numbers. They're getting about $11.3 million in local aid. They have big increase this year of about 17% on local aid because of their population. They're struggling. Kids who need, of course, social emotional learning. That's a big thing after the pandemic. Other issues that they're facing. So it's good news for Gloucester's school budget. They're going to get a big increase. How much they're going to get is the question.
Is that all Chapter 70 money, or does that come from someplace else in the state?
That $11.3 million Chapter 70 state aid.
Okay, all right.
They got a pretty big bump up the last year, and this year they're also seeing an increase as well. Lummis's point was some districts are not seeing any. Gloucester has a large amount of kids, high needs kids. There are a lot of English language learners, homeless kids in foster DCF care, a lot of out of district placements as well. Kids who are live here or lived here, are going to school here, have to be transported if they move out or vice versa. So they got a lot of challenges. Transportation, a big challenge this year. Cost of transportation is through the roof, with inflation and the difficulty of finding drivers. So, it seems like a very well-crafted education plan. They also want to move the O'Malley forward as well and focus on that.
All right. Well, you want to talk about the Pride celebration in Gloucester this week?
Oh yeah, so it was really nice because a lot of this has been in the news. I think I'm a parent of a transgender kid, and I've been following this closely in some other states like Florida, where they're passing laws that don't say gay and everything. So maybe have a little personal statement. So I went yesterday. It was a really great celebration. But honestly, 75 to 100 people were there, and the idea of this celebration observance of raising the pride flag is to say, hey, you're welcome, you're included, and to sort of send that message. And one of the good things about the event was the inclusion of high school kids raising the flag. So this is like the 10th year of raising the pride flag in Gloucester. And hats off, because the idea is not, it's the idea of inclusivity. Let's show people that they're welcome, have pride in who you are, and living your authentic self. And that's what some of the speakers are saying. So yeah, it was a really good turnout and a really good vibe yesterday.
Any of the speakers stand
On
out?
Wednesday.
Yes, yeah. That was on Wednesday.
It was on Wednesday. Yeah, I lose track of the days. I'm always a day ahead.
May 31st. Well, we're recording this on Thursday, June 1st. People will hear it on Friday, June 2nd. But were there any notable speakers saying anything notable that you can remember from today's event?
Well, I mean, Bruce Tarr was very forceful. I mean, he said that there needs to be more work and they need to eradicate hate, which got a lot of applause. And Superintendent Ben Lummis was very candid. He said, we are supportive. We're here to listen to you, but I'm paraphrasing, but sometimes we don't always do a good job. Yeah, I mean, he was candid about, the struggles that kids face. One of the statistics in the proclamation was that I said 1 in 3 young people are really suffering mentally. Their mental health is suffering because of their struggles with coming out. And we got to do more to support young people. So that's I think that was the message, and it was a hopeful message yesterday.
Well, I know. Yeah, right on Wednesday. You need to get going. So tell us where you're going, and then we'll excuse you.
I am going to East Gloucester Elementary School, and the Backyard Growers. It's their last go around with their garden bed there. So on Friday, they'll be holding the celebration from 6 to 8 p.m. at East Gloucester, a goodbye celebration, as the school is going to combine with Veterans Memorial at the new East Veterans School. I think they got all those names, veterans there,
All at East, all the veterans, yeah.
East, West. But yeah, so that's the whole. So we're gonna go do a little feature about the Backyard Growers and their efforts. And the great thing about the new school, there is a bed. They included in the plans for the school a garden bed for this program. That's how important it is.
That's great.
So I'm gonna get. They've been doing. Other schools have also been. West Parish has also been doing this. The other schools as well. I don't leave anybody out. But Veterans also was doing their garden bed the last couple of years at Burnham's Field.
Oh.
So the other schools as well, Plum Cove, they're all doing this event where they'll harvest and then they'll have a tasting. And I think it's really great to show kids where the food comes from, right? So this program will continue at East Veterans with a dedicated garden bed. And yeah, it's a great program. So there you go.
Will Backyard Growers still continue the program with this new garden bed at East Veterans?
That's why it was built.
Okay,
right. Great. It was included when they did the plans from the get-go. They put in a garden.
That's wonderful. So that whole program, they start in kindergarten, and when they leave in the 5th grade, they've been gardening all the way through.
Yeah. Ethan, how big is the garden? I'm kind of curious.
The garden at school. I'm trying to get a photo of it. I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to coordinate it, but it's great. They earmarked a part of it.
Are they raised beds or flat?
Again, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, you come back and report to us. Okay.
All right, Heather. I have to run. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good day. Thanks.
Bye. All right, Stephen.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome back. We missed you last week.
Thank you very much. I was in North Carolina last week, the Outer Banks, Buxton in particular. Bright, sunny, warm weather, right? No, it was stormy, it was cold, there was sand blowing around, but it was good. It was good being with my people. I'm from Virginia, so I saw a bunch of people I went to high school with, and you know, in Virginia, North Carolina, and Maryland. So it was great. It was great. But I'm back in it in the news world again. Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, so I think you're going to start with telling us about the Manchester Essex Regional School System and how they are trying to work out their budget.
Yeah, that's the story I'm working on today. It should be in tomorrow's paper. The Manchester Essex Regional School District, they're trying to arrive at a budget after the budget, I'm sorry, the override request failed in Essex a few weeks ago. They have a couple of options. They have the initial recommended budget. They have a compromise budget, which some board members support, but there are trepidations because it doesn't cover everything. Then there may be cuts. There cuts not only to teachers and staff, but to certain programs. So also just along the high school lines, and this will hit closer to your home being in Rockport. I'll be covering the Rockport High School graduation tomorrow afternoon. I believe that starts, well, by the time the viewers see this, should start later today at, I believe, between 5 and 7:30 p.m.
And that's June 2nd, Friday. June.
Correct.
Yeah, we're recording
Yes.
first, so we have to make that clear. Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it. I did a story this week on cell signaling technology, and it's currently based in Danvers and Beverly. They have purchased property in Manchester by the sea, by the Manchester Athletic Club. It's a 50-acre parcel off Atwater Avenue. And they want to expand. It's about, the first portion of the expansion is about 200 employees, 223 employees, and they hope to break ground on July 2024. And they want the second portion of the construction is slated to have approximately 237 more employees. So it's a big project. There's a story in Thursday's paper. I'm following it up with not only a story about the story in Thursday's paper was basically about the parking requirements. They're considering parking naturally to house all these people, and they talked about the differences between service parking, which is more affordable, but they're willing, it seems, to build a multi-tiered parking garage at an amazing expense, and they want to invest in that. So they're there for the long haul. So anyway, there seems to be a lot of public support for that project. Also, there are internships that may be part of the thing with the schools in Manchester and Essex.
So they're trying to be good citizens.
I'm sorry?
They're trying to be good citizens. The cell signal.
It appears that way. Yes, absolutely.
And they need to find places for 437 people to park.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's the location, and for those folks who don't know where the Manchester Athletic Club is, it's right off 128 on, I think, School Street. But
you see all those woods.
Whatever. I'm sorry?
You see all those woods behind the Manchester Athletic Center, and I think that's called the Limited Commercial District.
Yes, it is. There's a former quarry there. There's the Athletic Club, the MEC, the MAC. And also there's an industrial complex, which I'm not sure if that will stay or not. I really shouldn't even mention it because I don't know right now off the top of my head. But anyway, so that's what I have worked on, what I am working on, and I'll just mention, I mentioned the school budget. I'm going to be doing a follow on the cell signaling story. I'm in talks with their CEO and their press person about really what cell signaling technology does. It's medical research, and it has something to do with the human body and making it as healthy as possible, but I'm not so sure. But I want to find out. So, and the last thing that I wanted to float this, not trial balloon, but just this notion to reach out to your viewers and ask them to help me. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get in contact with, well, I didn't even know his name. I just call him Skateboard Boy, because he's a young man that flies around Gloucester on a skateboard, not just a plain skateboard, but a motorized skateboard. And the thing about that's really cool about it, in addition to his joyful look, I've seen him 2 or 3 times. I've been told by the people I've talked to that know him that he can sometimes change the skateboard to tow a wagon, to place a small beach chair on the wagon. That was the first time I saw him. I saw him down by the crow's nest, just flying down the road. And I've also heard that he can arrange the skateboard to have a sled. Like, so in the winter, he can cut through the snow. I don't know, but I've got some feelers out. I've talked to some people that know him and are charmed by him. But if anybody knows who he is or how I might get in touch with him, I'm asking.
All right, Skateboard Boy. Now
I know I feel like an idiot calling him that, but I don't have a name. So,
I
but
got,
it's a darndest thing. You gotta see him.
yeah.
He loves what he does. That's for sure. The 2 times I've seen him, he's he loves flying around on that thing.
Well, a little joy is a good story. So find that kid, or hopefully our listeners, viewers can
That's right.
tell us who he is, and we can have a little interview. That would be really fun, really fun. So Stephen, do you want to talk about Paul Saint Germain's new book about?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that. I just kind of went over it. Yeah, I interviewed an author. He's a Rockport guy, neighbor of yours, Paul Saint Germain. He's really well known in these parts, especially with the Thatcher Island Association. I forget exactly what it's called, but he wrote a book about it's called, what is it called? 3 Bridges to Paradise.
Oh,
And
that's true.
he focuses essentially on the 3 bridges that get people into the island. The 128 bridge, the Blyman Bridge, or the Cut Bridge down by
Boulevard.
the Boulevard, thank you, and also the Railroad Bridge. But what I learned is that they're actually on Cape Ann, there are 16 separate bridges. That's a part of the book there he has. But it was just kind of cool. It's looking at the history of Gloucester, some of the things that identify for a resident who lives here and who's been here for a long time. There were a couple of references that I had never heard. One is going down the line. Have you ever heard that?
I sure have. Yeah, I know just what that means.
So what he told me is that means that's when people travel far away on Route 128 away from the island.
Like to the shore mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to Dammers.
Yeah.
1,000 miles away. And then another reference is, I guess, and I had heard this, that sometimes people don't go over the bridge being, I forget the name of it, but it's the main bridge over 128.
Hyatt Bridge.
Yes. The one that goes over the canal,
Yeah.
the river.
The Annisquam River.
The Annisquam River. Thank you, Heather. What would I do without you? And there's some people that just don't go over that bridge. They stay here, and that I don't say that in a derogatory way. I just think it's interesting that people. I mean, I'm from Washington. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. People down there they're from everywhere. They go everywhere. Very transient.
I strive to not go over the bridge.
I'm sorry.
I strive to not.
But that's what's interesting about it. It's just the fact that this island communities is just so self-sufficient that there's no real need unless you want to go to
Target.
Target and Dampers, right?
That's
Target.
Hey, we've got
just as long as you don't go to the Christmas tree shops. I mean, no knock on the Christmas tree shops, but you better actually go My girlfriend tells me that they're closing some locations.
Even the one with a thatched roof, like the Cape Cod Canal, I think that's closing.
Oh, really? That's one of the first. Yeah, well, I know it was started on the Cape. I don't think that was the very first one, but I know which one you're speaking of.
No,
Um,
I grew up on Cape Cod. I know where the first one was. It's in Yarmouth. It was a tiny little house. It was really sweet.
and that's still there, right?
I don't
Oh,
know,
maybe it's not. Yeah, but
but
so they're closing the one by the Bourne Bridge. Is that
Sagamore.
Sagamore? Okay.
We've got the big thatched roof. At least that's what the Boston Globe reported a couple of days ago. But who
Yeah.
knows about the Boston Globe? So
Oh, yeah. What do you think about that notion? The Army Corps of Engineers floating the idea of building additional bridges onto the Cape. Do you think that'll ever happen in our lifetime?
that's
Cape Cod, as opposed to the Cape Ann.
I did hear from a bridge expert in Massachusetts that they're struggling to figure out how to pay for renovating those two bridges. The two bridges, I didn't hear there were going to be new bridges. So I've just heard that it's definitely an issue to find the money to pay for, and who will pay to upgrade those bridges. So, but we don't have that problem because we just got our bridge fixed. Took about 10 years, but our bridge was just, the A.S. Pyatt Bridge was fixed. We're all set.
Yeah, it's a beautiful bridge. It's really pretty interesting. In the book, it chronicles, the beginnings of the bridge construction and just the notion of having it. The Andrew Pyatt, the A. Pyatt Andrew Bridge. I don't know if you can see that image right there.
I was saying A.S. I don't know if that's right. There it is. So what I think is really interesting about those bridges, and I'm sure it's told in this book, is how much each bridge changed the community on Cape Ann. Like once there was connectivity from one part to another, people could get there easily, and villages were formed. And I think that's really interesting how the bridges were really transformative.
No, it's a really well-researched book, and pretty darn well written. I couldn't put it down. I flew through it.
Oh, good. Well, he's a great guy and a great historian too.
Seems to be a nice man. Yeah, he was very helpful with me putting this together.
Well, what are you working on next week? Did you sort of give us, I guess, maybe more cell signaling? That would be
more cell signaling. Yeah, I definitely that. I'm working also on a status story on the Manchester fire chief. He's stepping down, I believe, at the end of the month, and just how that search is going and his thoughts about his tenure as fire chief. Skateboard boy, Rockport High School graduation, which you could write reams about. I've covered a lot of graduations, and there's a lot to write about that. Have you ever attended the Rockport High graduation?
Oh, yes, I have. My kids did not graduate from there, but I did. I've been to a graduation. Yeah. So it's always sweet, and I cry at all these kinds of events.
I do too. It's funny you say that because I get really emotional because I remember my daughter's graduation from Lexington High School and UMass Amherst, and it was a very emotional thing there. And I mean, it's just the stories that the kids tell and the inspiration, whether it's Ursuline Academy down in Dedham or Dedham High School or Reading High School where I used to live. I mean, all the communities, they're very interesting. Rockport's, I gather, is very small by comparison, but that might make it nice for me because it's more intimate.
Right.
So.
Well, we look forward to all those stories, and particularly the Rockport graduation story. That'll be nice.
Absolutely.
All right, Stephen, we will see you next week, and thank you very much.
Heather, thank you very much. Take care.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.